Hey guys, it's Mr. Bosher. I'm going to try to make a quick video today just talking about the first half of the graphing systems of inequalities assignment. So it's going to be mainly with the first 5 problems, and then I'll shortly tell you guys like how can you do the last 5, but I'll make a video on the last 5 tomorrow. Okay? So I made this screen first as just like a refresh of everything that you've already should know. So on the left side, it's just slope-intercept form. M is the slope, B is the y-intercept. We get the slope with rise and run. These are all things that we've done plenty of times, but it's just there as a reminder, like if you forgot any of that. At the bottom, we're gonna, for this assignment, we're going to be graphing. So remember that if we have slope-intercept form and we want to graph, it's mainly just 2 steps. You start with the y-intercept because it's the easier thing to do, and then you use your slope to get a second point. Okay, and then on the right, this is the stuff that is probably going to be more helpful because it's been a while, but we're going to go back to these greater thans and less thans and how that looks on a graph. So remember, if it doesn't have the equals to as at the very top in blue, that means that you're going to have a dash line. When they add the equals to back, that means we're going to have a solid or a bold line. If we have y is greater than or equal to, since we are greater, that means we're going to go up or above. If y is less than, that means we're going to go down or below. Okay, so that's kind of just a refresh. So I have that there. If you want to take a screenshot of that or just like reference this as you're going through this assignment, by all means do that, because it's going to be very helpful as we go forward. So I have that. Let's actually try a problem now. So how are we going to do this? Well, you've done these types of problems before, but there was only one inequality or one equation. Now you're just going to do 2 at a time. We're going to see how does that change things. So I'm going to start with the very top inequality. Y is greater than 2x plus 9. And I'm not going to focus on the shading so much. If I can zoom out, there we go. I'm just going to focus on graphing the lines first. And that's what I would suggest you do too when you're doing these, is just get the lines drawn first. So my y-intercept of that top equation is going to be 9. So I put my first point at 9. And then I have a slope of 2, since 2 is in front of x, and we're in slope-intercept form. So that means I'm going to have a rise of 2 and a run of 1. So I'm going to go up 2 and over 1. So up 2 and over 1. Hopefully that should feel like review. And then we're going to lock that line in. Now before I move on from that line, I should ask myself, should this line stay solid or should it be dashed? And since it doesn't have the equals to, remember that means that we are going to dash it since it doesn't have the equals to. Okay? So that line's ready to go. Now let's work on our other line. So the bottom line has a y-intercept of -3, since the -3 is by itself, or not by itself, but it doesn't have the x next to it, right? It's the constant. And then the number in front of x is -2. So now instead of going up 2, I need to go down 2 and over 1. So from that -3, I go down 1, 2, over 1. Hey, that line's good. And all we ask ourselves now is, should it stay bold because it has an equals to, or do we make it dash because it's missing one? And in the bottom equation, it has the equals to. So we're going to keep that as is. Now, let me just kind of get that off the screen. We got to focus on the greater thans and less thans, and how does that affect the shape. So to do that, let me screenshot this real fast so that I can draw on the image. All right, so let's look at our dash line. So that first equation we were talking about, okay? That first one says y is greater than the 2x plus 9. So whenever you're doing these, imagine you're doing one problem at a time. So we're going to ignore the bottom line for now. We're going to pretend it's not even there. Okay, we're just looking at the dash line. So the dash line has a greater than, right? It says y is greater than. So if I look at just this dash line that I drew, and I want to be greater than it, that means that we're going to shade above the line. So I'm going to shade that with blue. So this whole area above the line should be shaded, because that's how we would do the problem if they only gave me that equation, right? Or that inequality. Then we're going to do the same thing now, but with our bottom equation or inequality. And we're going to pretend it's the only thing on the picture and see how we would answer that question. So that says y is less than or equal to, and that was our bold line that they're talking about. So, oops. Our bold line is this one right here, right? That was the second line we drew. Since it says y is less than, that means we're going to shade below this line. And I'm going to do that with a different color. So I'm going to shade everything below this line. And there we go. So, because we're trying to solve the problem for both of these lines at the same time, we said, well, I'll shade, I'll do the top line first and shade, then I'll do the bottom line, then shade. The final answer is where they are both shaded, okay, since we're trying to solve both at the same time. So I'm going to mark our answer in red. The only area where both of them are shaded is this area right here. So when I go back to Alex, I am not going to shade this part, and I'm not going to shade this part, because the top only has the blue. So it only answers half the question. The bottom is just the green. So that only answered half the question. I want the area where both of them are shaded at the same time. So this is the area I'm going to shade in when I go to Alex. And that's essentially how we do these. And I'll do one more before I end the video. Okay? So let's go to... Sure, save that. Alex. And we said this right side, nothing was there, so that's not right. The top, only one of them was there, so that's not right. Bottom, only one of them was there, so that's not right. But over here, we shaded with both colors, so that's our answer. And there we go. Okay, I'll do one more real fast. All right, once again, start with just making the lines and making sure they're bold or dashed. So I'm going to start with the top line. The constant, or the number kind of on its own, is -7. So that's my y-intercept. Let's put that first. And the number next to x is 2. So my slope is 2, which means we're going to go up 2 and over 1. So 1, 2, over 1. And then, last thing to check, it doesn't have an equals to, so we need to make it dashed. Okay, so far so good. Let's make our second line. Second line says the y-intercept is -5 because the constant is -5, the number on its own. Our slope is -4 since it's next to x and we're in slope-intercept form. So we're going to go down 4 and over 1. So start at that y-intercept, we went down 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1. Last thing to check, that bottom equation doesn't have an equals to also, which means it needs to become a dashed line. And all right, so we have our two lines. I'm going to take it over to the photos again so I can draw on it. And then we can figure out, okay, which one of these areas are both of them shading in. So let's go check. Bring this over here. There we go. Okay. So let's look at, let's see, our first line had the y-intercept of 7. So we're looking at this line first. That line said, and let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. That y is less than. So remember that less than means that we're going to shade below the line. So all of this area below the line can be blue. So this whole section. Now, let's look at our other line. The other line had a y-intercept of -5, so just to check, yeah, this is the -5 line. Okay, cool. And then that one says that y needs to be greater than this line. So we need to shade above this line. So whenever I see this line, I'm going to shade in above that line. Okay, so just shade that in. Excuse me, so sorry. Okay. So in red, again, we're going to go through. We see that this area is blank, so that's not right. This area only has green, so that's not right. This little section down here only has blue, so that's not right. So we want to shade this whole section over here since we have the green and the blue, which means both lines are going to be shaded or in this area. So let's go back to our Alex assignment. We said this area is the one that both of them are shaded. We hit check, and there we go. So that's basically it. It's like you're doing two of these graphing inequalities problems at the same time. It's all the same steps. Graph the line, check if it's bold or dashed, see where you would shade. do it with the second one, and where both of them are shaded is your final answer. Okay? That's the same for the first 5 problems. The only thing that happens in the second half, if you want to go that far, is that notice that you start to get standard forms. So how do we deal with standard forms? You have to convert them, and once you've converted them, then it's the same process. Okay, so for this one, that second equation, you would have to convert, and then it's the same thing as before. If you don't want to tackle that yet, it's fine. Just do the first 5, and I'll try to make a video tomorrow where I do 1 or 2 of these examples, so you can kind of just see the process, if that helps. Okay? All right, I wish you guys good luck, and hope you have a great day.